Thanks again to Jeff and our panelists for those discussions. We'll be following the Lunsford case closely and we'll let you know what happens next. We turn now to a story first reported by two journalists at the University of New Mexico student newspaper, the Daily Lobo, which exposed violations of a federal crime transparency law. The Clery Act requires higher education institutions to publish an annual security report, as well as a daily crime log that includes the nature of an incident, the date, time, general location, and whether the case is considered open or closed. Journalists Lauren Lifke and Lily Alexander joined Jeff in studio to discuss their work and explain how the university has quietly responded to their reporting.
Lily Alexander, Lauren Lifke, thank you both for joining me on New Mexico in Focus this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as we just heard from Lou, you two wrote a story for the Daily Lobo that ran earlier this month, detailing a number of violations of the Clery Act by the University of New Mexico. Lauren, what were you guys hearing about the campus security systems, and what were people telling you about those systems?
So what first started for me was there was a shooting outside of Lobo Village near South Campus earlier that month in early September. And I live in Lobo Village, and when that first happened, I heard about it from my roommate about a while before the Lobo alert came out about the situation. And so I wrote the article about that story, and then after that I kind of wanted to do a follow-up. So we went to look into how Lobo alerts work and why there was such a delay, and then that was what had us looking into the Clery Act.
Let's stay with you for just a minute. I want to just get some definitional stuff out of the way. What are Lobo alerts? What are the daily crime logs? And what role do those systems play on the campus community? Why are they important?
So Lobo alerts and Lobo advisories, they're both a form of notifying the campus when something happens on campus that might be a danger to them. So there's a specific set of Clery laws, of Clery violations, which would be things along the lines of assaults, shootings, things like that, that requires campuses to, if something like that happens on or near campus, they have to send out either an emergency notification or a timely alert, depending.
Through text message, email, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So UNM does it through text message and email. So that's what that is. All campuses with a police department are required to have that. And same with the daily crime log as well. That should have all of the Clery crimes that are reported to UNMPD, as well as whatever information that UNM can get from APD that happens near campus as well.
And the idea, Lily, is to keep the campus safe, right? The idea, the purpose of these systems on campus is so that people know if something bad has happened, right?
Yeah, it's to keep students safe and to just increase transparency between the university and their students about what is happening on and around campus that might be affecting them in their education.
So once you teamed up with Lauren on this and we got past that sort of beginning stage of what you were observing and hearing about the security systems, what happened next in the reporting that got you to some of the larger systemic issues that were ultimately uncovered and published in the newspaper?
Yeah. When we started digging into the Lobo alerts, we found the Clery Act, and we kind of just read as much as we could understand of the actual act. And we saw the other requirements, such as the crime log and the annual security report. And also we spoke with an emergency manager at UNM who told us about the Clery Act and what the university is required to do for that. So we just kind of dug into all aspects of it, like the crime log, and ended up stumbling upon some very interesting violations.
And let's get to the violations in a second, though, but since we're on the subject, what is the Clery Act and what is it meant to do?
The Clery Act was signed in 1990 to, as I kind of said, enforce transparency between universities and their students. And it requires universities to do the timely emergency notifications and send those out, compile all of the crime statistics for the calendar year and publish it in an annual report at the end of the year, and keep a daily crime log featuring all of the crimes that occur on campus that are reported to personnel, as Lauren said earlier.
This is a federal law, right?
Yes, it's a federal statute.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the things that you all identified, the problems. It seems to me that there were kind of three buckets, three categories that you found violations and problems in. The Lobo alert system, the daily crime logs, and the annual security report. Can we get, just like for viewers, a basic walkthrough, just a fact style, of the violations that you all found?
The main one that was the most obvious was the daily crime log. The Clery Act states that universities should have a daily crime log that is easily accessible, easy to read, and accessible during normal business hours, that any student can look at. And it should include the nature of a crime, the location, the time, the date, and the disposition if it's known whether the case is solved or not. When we opened the daily crime log, it didn't have all of that. Sometimes some of the entries had more things than others, but most of them didn't have the time. Almost none of them had the location, and none of them had the disposition.
So it sounds to me like the Clery Act, again, it not being a set of suggestions, it not being a state statute, it not being a UNM policy, this is federal law. Violating federal law seems to be very, very bad for a university. I don't want to ask either of you to get beyond where the reporting has gone, but what is your sense of what UNM knows about how important compliance is?
We talked to, they have a Clery coordinator there, and also UNMPD does have, they generally should have knowledge of how the Clery Act works, but when we talked to the Clery coordinator, she knew most of the information, but she was a little bit newer at the job. She started in February of 2022. So she was caught up on, she was trying to kind of catch up on updating the annual crime report and kind of trying to fix the daily crime log. But generally, when we asked UNMPD about the Clery Act, we were pointed in different directions.
And we'll get to some of that a little bit later in the interview. I want to talk about consequences now for violations of the Clery Act. I'm sure that most viewers have probably seen the recent Washington Post reporting about what's happening at Liberty University in Virginia. Their federal funding is at stake, fines are possible. I think a lot of people saw what happened at Michigan State with Larry Nassar, the gymnastics coach. There were $4.5 million worth of fines levied against that university as a result of Clery Act violations. So has anyone that you all talked to so far in the course of reporting all of this acknowledged the possibility that UNM could be in some serious trouble here?
Not at all. We have not received responses from UNMPD or just the university itself, even any acknowledgement, although after the story was published, the daily crime log was quietly updated to include the columns of information that we pointed out it was missing. But we didn't receive any notification of that happening. We just checked and saw it like that. So no one has reached out.
That's very interesting too. So one of the things that I loved the most about this story was how not bashful you all were in terms of the way you framed and worded the story. It straight up says, it says it right in the headline, that UNM is out of compliance with this incredibly important federal statute. I want you to tell viewers, please, Lauren, you first, and Lily, if you want to jump in too, what made you so confident and what made your editors so confident that you could write the story so authoritatively?
After learning the facts from people at the Clery Center, from people at UNM, and from reading the Clery Act, which we kind of spent a long time just looking through it, it was just obvious. It was just there. And we were hesitant to put just that level of authority in the headline. We probably spent an hour thinking of what we should say, and then ultimately we landed on something that said missing data suggests that UNM is non-compliant, but our editor read the story and they just took that part out and just left it at the facts there.
I would imagine both of you were confident and comfortable with the headline as it was published at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's a service to readers, right? Like, why couch things? If you've got it, you've got it. And it sounds like, and I'd like to go back to this the reaction that's happened. It sounds like it's been crickets from the university and from UNMPD. No one has called to say that you got the story wrong or anything like that. What has the reaction been like from the campus community? Have people been hitting the Lobo up, blowing you guys up in your DMs to tell you you should know this, you should know this? How have people responded?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people on campus seem to have read it. We've gotten compliments from various teachers and other people. We have gotten some messages about other situations that we might want to look into involving transparency about crime on campus, so we'll be digging into those too.
So I want to return to something that you had mentioned, which is what happened before you published the story, when you went looking for answers, the points of accountability, like who's ultimately responsible for this. It read to me like what you all got was the classic Wizard of Oz scarecrow thing, right? The pointing this way. One cop referred you to one cop, that cop referred you back to the other cop. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like when you went looking for the accountability piece of the story?
So it started with us talking to the emergency manager about just the Lobo alerts. Well, actually, before that, it started with Lily emailing UNMPD. She emailed like most of the lieutenants there, all of the lieutenants.
You spammed the police department.
did
I love
indeed,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So she emailed all the lieutenants, and the vast majority of them responded saying, "I don't send out the Lobo alerts. Talk to somebody else." And we eventually did get pointed to the emergency manager. We talked to him, and we were under the impression that he's the one that sends the Lobo alerts by the way that they were kind of wording their emails. When we talked to him, he said, no, UNMPD sends all the Lobo alerts. That's all them. So then that got us thinking, and then when we looked more into the Clery Act, we talked to the Clery coordinator. She was very helpful. But we did need like some more clarification on things that only UNMPD could provide. And then when we talked to UNMPD, finally, they pointed us towards the Clery coordinator.
I can't imagine that you all are finished with this story by a long shot. What questions do you still have? And can I keep reading about this in the Daily Lobo?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of questions that remain. Namely, we want to know what's going on with the system behind the scenes and how data is being inputted into the system, especially regarding the crime log, because we've noticed still some discrepancies and the location isn't always there now. So we want to understand how that works and also who is actively putting the information in. Because we didn't get a super clear answer in the end, being pointed to so many different people.
You want to see the guts of the operation.
Yeah.
You want to put that in the newspaper so that I can read it. So anyone who's not already reading the Lobo who is watching this, I hope that this will be a good impetus to start reading the student newspaper. Lily, Lauren, thank you both so much for your work and for talking to me about it today.
Yeah, thank you
you
for
so
having
much.
us. Yeah.